Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Can You Believe That? Today, I'm here with Kerri Deitsch. She's a lawyer in the U.S., and I think this is going to be a very interesting conversation because, from what I can see, for an example, in Brazil, if I go to law school in São Paulo and I go to practice in Rio de Janeiro, that's fine. That's not how it works and on US soil, right? Because
Right.
from what I can see, you have some states and laws. You have some laws in the state, and in that other place is a whole different thing. So if I get my license on the New York State Bar, I will have to practice law in New York. Like what happens if I move to Kentucky, if I move to another place in another US location? How do I do that? Do I have to
Well, you'd have to retake the bar in that state.
on that state?
Again, yes, my dad is a doctor and it's a little bit disappointing because, you can be a doctor anywhere all over the world because the body is the body. But as far as our US laws go, each state has its own set of laws that apply. And so if I'm in Florida, and if I wanted to practice in Utah, I would have to get my Utah bar license, which is, studying and taking a 3-day long test and all that accompanies. So um, it's important, I would say, to go to law school in the state you want to end up practicing in, because that's going to help you be successful in practicing or passing the bar in that state.
Say, okay, that makes a lot of sense. In a way, like my mother is a doctor too, and my stepfather and my father and my stepmother. And it's like this, like they go to Europe, they go to the US. There, it's the same thing. It's like you said. And when I see my cousin, like she graduated in Brazil in law, she went to New York and she did it all over again. Like I have to retake it everything. I was like, oh my God, she really likes that.
Yes, yeah.
There's anything you can use from Brazil here? And she was like, some of the human components, but and she said, but as for laws and stuff, she said it's so different. And I think that's really interesting. And you, when did you decide that you wanted to like follow this career? And how did you knew you said, okay, I'm going to be here. I will build up my life here because I have a profession that I know that if I go to another state, if I go to another location, I have to adapt myself. Uh, how is this journey like saying I'm going to do this, this is going to be my profession, and it's going to be in this place, and I have to make it work here?
Well, my family lives here, so that's pretty much the deciding factor. Family is very important to me. I have a sister, and my mom and dad are nearby. Um, and I spend as much time as I can with all of them, and I wanted to do that, forever. So this is where they landed, and so it's where I've stayed.
And I saw you really like roller skating, love roller skating.
I
uh
do. I have my skates right back there on the shelf, if you can see them.
yes.
Um, so I brought them for so that you guys could see them. I do. I spend a lot of time doing that, all of my spare time, because I have 4 kids and I can take them to the park with me and I can skate around and they can play in the park. And so, yeah,
And
that's my number one hobby.
because for what I can see, so uh family is a very important component. You found an activity that you can do with all of your children. And what it seems to me when we were talking and scheduling things, and you said to me, okay, so I'm from the old school gang, roller skating, and I said, okay, it has to be an emotional impact. Like you started when you were a young girl, and this continued as something like it was only a sport. It was with a special person, a friend, and today you're doing it with your kids. Uh, tell me more about roller skating in
So
your perspective.
historically, I was a figure skater on ice.
Okay,
My mom is from Canada and she used to teach ice skating. So when I was a kid, I competed in figure skating. My daughter does still do ice figure skating. When the pandemic started, um, I really wanted something that I could do outside and um, past the age where I'm going to nightclubs and dancing to music. And so roller skating to music is just the perfect combination of getting to move your body to music, learning something new. And my figure skating background allowed me to progress with that. It's free, it's outside. Um, and in October of this year, it'll be a year that I've been on quads, like old school four wheels.
that's really cool. And for and this is kind of a like two answer question. What the pandemic changed in your daily life, and of course, going to be like taking a look into practicing law when sometimes you have like a huge case, a huge something, and you're like on a webcam and you're saying, "Oh my God, we are deciding like the future of this person," and they're in their house like filming themselves with a webcam. How it all changed that fast, and how can I explain? I don't know your children's age, but if they're younger, like how can I explain? Mom is here at home, but I'm working. I'm doing all the stuff. I cannot give you that much attention. How was to like juggle all this stuff, because we thought the pandemic would be short and we're still
And
like
going
right.
on and
Yeah,
on and on, right?
yeah, it's insane, especially here in Brazil, that things are on a very slow pace. I know,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, it's like 2 years now.
Yeah, where I live in Florida, we've had some difficulties, and it's been, one of the worst states, I think, in the country for some of the numbers, and some of our vaccine numbers have been a lot lower than they should be. Um, as far as the kids go, they think my job is important. So if my door is closed and they hear noise, they know not to go. Um, much of what I do at this point is criminal. So, as far as the criminal system goes, um, people who have their potential of their right to freedom being taken away still get to go in front of a judge. We all wear masks and we social distance, but in things that like evidentiary hearings or pleas or sentencing, things like that, we are still physically present for those. For motion hearings and other regular stuff on the calendar, um, I think that it's actually been really good for the system. I think the judges really like it. I think most attorneys really like it. It's more efficient. And as we've gotten back to offices outside of our houses, um, I've become much better at using Zoom, GoToMeeting, and all of the, whichever thing it is that everybody always uses. It seems like everyone has something different. I've done lots of doctor's appointments over the video, which is very convenient. I wish we could do the dentist appointments. That would be the best. But I think it's made things in the law a little bit more efficient. I think that the judges like it because people show up, they don't miss court, and they don't have to get arrested because they've missed court. So
Yeah, no, and maybe like for a personal experience from me, it was like I would schedule a consultation with my psychologist, and in the beginning, I was like, "This is going to work." And nowadays, he says to me, "Oh my God, I think we'll keep on doing Zoom and Skype calls forever because you talk." He said, "You talk." It seems that this distance, it's good for you. So
Yes, I would agree. I would agree with that. I think that, you know, it's made people maybe more open to seeking mental health treatment for some people. And I think that that is definitely a benefit of the pandemic. You know, people might be more open over Zoom and over this, but they're not really sitting face to face with somebody in office, and maybe they can make some breakthroughs and get some of the help that they need. That's something a lot of my clients deal with, and I think that it makes it more convenient, and they, you know, again, show up for their appointments, which is half the battle.
yeah, no, because sometimes you would like I would be on that thing. I have to cross the city and go to that place and come back, and I'm going to have a meeting, and it's this and that. Because in the end, and I think that's for me, and I think for a lot of people, the core problem is like, okay, I'm going to talk to a mental health professional that I'm not feeling well, but I'm going to lose a job. I'm going to lose money in the process of talking about, oh, I'm not feeling happy. And I think this is maybe it's the only positive point. Of course, there must be other stuff, but as you just mentioned on the legal justice system, some stuff got better. I've imagined some things got worse. I don't know exactly in what part, in what place, but I think that understanding that sometimes these physical constrictions that, oh, you have to be here, you have to be there, and sometimes giving the person their space to do their work, do their stuff, do in a setup that, at least for me, people that I've started working with on home office would be much more engaged on solving a problem and fixing a situation than when I was in a production company and the guys would get out, drink coffee, smoke cigarette, get in for 5 minutes, another 30-minute
Mhm.
break. And so I think it, in a way, gets us to the point. And I believe that adapting and trying to understand other people's needs, this is the core for a professional like you. You have to understand the person's situation, feel like it's mine. I feel in my heart, but at the same time, I have to take this distance to apply the best professional behavior and also care to that person. I think a lot of people don't understand or don't see. Sometimes I see a physician and I said, "Oh my God, he's there with the person. It's something very heated and has this warm around it." And when people talk about law professionals, they said, "Oh no, it's a code relation." This is insane. People must get in your office sometimes crying out of happiness, crying out of misery, and you have to welcome, sit here, and let's see how can I do best. Where do you find this like daily inspiration to do stuff? It's with your kids, with your job. It's all of this. What moves you? What gives you the energy to do it?
Um, Gosh, I just like to get stuff done. I like to accomplish things, you know, so checking off boxes of things, like checking it off as done is is good, feels good. Like, you know, I got that kid to shower. 2 out of 4, I got to shower yesterday. And and I got, you know, another child out of jail on Saturday morning who didn't deserve to be in custody. So the past, you know, 48 hours have been a series of success so far. Um, I I've always been interested in helping the underdog. Um, you know, I've always pretty much throughout my career represented people who were in the lower socioeconomic classes or couldn't afford an attorney. Um, Before I was in this position doing juvenile criminal defense, I did property damage law. And many of the cases that we would get would actually be very poor people whose houses had been damaged. However, they had been paying, their insurance premiums for all that time, and they just happened to get a flood in their house, or the kitchen happened to, flood, or the roof broke and they got a flood. And the insurance companies, wanted to say, oh, those people had an old, dirty house anyway, and it's dirty and this and that. And the thing is that, things happen to people across all the spectrum. Things happen to rich people, things happen to poor people, houses that are really nice and fancy get damaged, houses that are, dirty and gross and have 6 people living in a 2-bedroom get damaged. And if in our system, if you've been paying your insurance and paying your premiums, you have the right under that contract to get that properly fulfilled. And so I would say, unfairness drives me. I don't like to see things being unfair for anybody. I've worked in many jobs for the government. I've always worked on the side of defense, so I represent people who can't afford an attorney. That I consider myself to be a good attorney. I'm a smart, clever lady or whatever. And the idea that I live in a country where the government pays me to fight the government really makes me believe in truth and justice. That, even though that person might have done it, they still get their day in court. They get to be heard. People don't get to come and lie about what happened. They get the same rights that everybody, and that's the only way that we can make people buy into society and believe our laws, is by giving everybody a fair shot. And so, for someone like me to get paid by the government to fight the government is a really fantastic aspect of this country and our system of justice, in my opinion. It's not perfect, but I believe it's one of the best ones in the world.
And you were in Canada. Did you live in Canada? Or did you were already born in the US?
I did not. I'm pretty much from Florida. I lived in the Philippines for a few years when I was a very small child because my dad was in the Navy. But after that, we came to Florida, and I've been in Florida pretty much ever since. I went to undergrad in Florida. I ran track for University of South Florida. I did the triple jump and then so I ran college track. And then I did a few things for a couple of years. I taught at a preschool, actually. And then I went to law school after that at Stetson University, which is in St. Pete, Florida.
And you said your mother is Canadian, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is a thing in other places. Like my grandparents were Portuguese. They're from Portugal. So there is always this little thing from my mother, like trying to. I'm sorry, because if she sees this, she's going to kill me. Like, let me take a step back. She was always very concerned about taking some of that culture and saying, oh, this is from you. This is you, because my father had some Spanish background, but he wasn't very interested in going after that. Family from Spain, actually. I'm sorry. And as for my mother, like I've got the passport. When I go to the US, I don't show my Brazilian ID. I show getting out of Brazil, and when I enter US soil, I only show the Portuguese one. The guy look at me and he says, "But why do you live in Brazil?" I said, "No, I'm Brazilian, but I have this." And I said, "Oh, that's fine." And did you felt that your mother like brought some stuff from the Canadian culture to you? I believe the answer is yes. Like you've been doing like ice skating.
Yes, definitely ice skating. We like to watch hockey. I think that most Canadians have a love of the outdoors. because they live in such a vast country with so much outdoors, it's definitely something, we spend a lot of time outdoors. My husband is Jewish and I'm Catholic. And so I think that one of the things that connects all the different cultures is food. I think that we take, the food from that. So one of the big things in my mom's family is she grew up on a river in New Brunswick called the Ristigouche, that the salmon go up for their
They go champion of the
mating
current.
season, right? So salmon is a big part of, like, she grew up eating tons of salmon. And then at Christmas time, they always make something called meat pies. They're like a pie, but you make them with meat instead. So, the foods that they've eaten. I know lots of songs in French that I've taught my kids. And so, we sing Alouette and Frère Jacques and all of those things, Claire de la Lune. And then as far as my husband's family and the, Jewish aspect of his family, since we've been married, I've been married 17 years. It'll be 18 in November. I make a lot of Jewish foods also for the Jewish holidays. Like we just had Rosh Hashanah, and then coming up this week is Yom Kippur. And so, the way that we come together around different cultures is through the foods that we eat and we share. I think it both in, sharing how to make them with me from my mother-in-law, my mom showing me how to make foods, and then me passing that down on to my children. I think that the great connector is food, and we can't live without it. So
Yeah, no,
it's our culture.
I totally agree with that, because while I was like getting things on my memory and putting up the sentence, I could only see potatoes and fish and stuff, and I said, oh my God, it food is love. Like if you do it, and if sometimes I would see like in myself, I'm doing the same thing for me or for a friend, and I see I'm putting a lot of love in that. I think it's funny. You've mentioned your husband is Jewish and you're Catholic. Uh, I have something in my room that my friends look and they're always boggled because they say, "What is going on?" Because I have a Jewish ornament. I have a Catholic, the Catholic Bible, because my family was from the Catholic Church, but I've studied all my life in a school that had 80% of the students were Jewish. So it got to a point that I went to bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs so many times that my friends would laugh in a crazy way, because I would be able to say, like, when I went into the US or there were American people, I've got to like say, when you say in Portuguese, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. In English, it's like the accent is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. And my friends were like, you've come to so much of our stuff that you can see when my uncle from New York's doing and the accent, and I would go to the holidays. I don't know if besides the same name in the US, but it's like the Jewish Easter.
Passover.
Yeah, and I would go to my friend's house and go to their religious ceremonies that sometimes I wouldn't go from my own church or my own family. And nowadays I see the impact this had on me, because I'm going to be like 27 next year, and for the last like 2 to 3 months I said, oh my God, I'm feeling this thing, like everything's going well at work, everything's going well at life, but I miss something. And I said, it's that feeling of belonging in a place, believing that believing a core, believing in a statement that I say, I want to grow this in me, and I want to put this in the word. And when you say, I like to check these boxes, like my son took a shower. In the other day, there is a mother smiling because she's saying, my son was protected. He didn't need to be in custody for a misdemeanor, for something so small. So he's with me today. And what I think it's insane, and from my point of view, is that when you were talking about work or putting your children to take a bath and go to school or sleep or follow some of these guidelines that we know today are really important for a functioning life, but try to explain for a 9-year-old children how you need to take a bath every day. I can see you do all this stuff, believing that core thing that you said. It's about fairness, about caring, and I think this is awesome. Like when I meet people, especially doing, can you believe that? I have talked to politicians, I have talked to professors, but all the interviews that I really feel, oh my God, this is like a talk, is when I get to meet people that they believe in something and they believe in putting the good out there. And what I wanted to ask you, like for one last thing, is that do you believe that with the like post COVID, there are things that are going to be harder and in your on practicing law? Do you think that okay, it helps for people not to lose this or that, and the judges get a faster way? But isn't this like allowing for people that may not have the someone taking care of them, having more difficult to access the internet, to take like this technologic apparel and I don't know if I have someone that uh, doesn't have access to the internet and he loses his audience, his appointment. Isn't that a problem? Do you think there are many focal places
I
where?
I do think that you know, that's one of the issues, and I know that not everyone is a big fan of his, but you know, Mark Zuckerberg and his um, foundations and the things that he's using his money to fight for is really internet access for everybody in every village in Africa, in all of the um, you know, the um, poorest places on earth. The I know in Sao Paulo and in the what are they called,
Favelas.
the favelas? Yes, that you know, it's almost like clean water is a human right. I think that as we move forward, access to information and access to properly vetted information is a human right. And I think that that's something that you know, they say water is the new oil. Well, I think access to information is as important as water is. Obviously, it's not a life or death situation, but I think that having access to information, especially as we move forward post COVID, and some of these things continue, like some things are going to be on Zoom forever now. Some workers are going to only have access to work through remote opportunities. And I think that access to um, reasonably priced, fast enough to work for you internet is a human right.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with the two statements. One, because uh, I've always said this: I can be offline on a lot of stuff, but if I don't have internet, imagine my internet wasn't here at this moment. We wouldn't be able to talk and
Mm-hmm.
when you say like misinformation, maybe it's not a life of matter and death. I think that we've reached a point that maybe it is.
I agree with that. I'm gonna say that I agree with that, that the misinformation that's out there, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with Reddit.
Yeah.
So there's a subreddit called the Herman Cain Awards, and every day there is somebody on there who they post like their series of their statements of what they were going to do and what they weren't going to do, and then at the end is their obituary. And it's, you know, their actions that they took in response to bad information that they received ends in their death. And so, you know, access to valid and true information is a matter of life and death.
Yeah, no, I see for, and of course I've ended up I always end up taking a license when talking this, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it is happening in other places, but from the start of the pandemic to here, uh, looking at how Brazilians were working with information and Americans, and I said, oh my God, we believe in anything we see. We believe in anything we read. This is insane. And when I saw this, like in Brazil, I said, okay, it's strange, but there are some places here that people don't have water, that people don't have food. They live in a nice place. Like my neighbor, when he's not here, he's traveling to some place, going to some. It's people that I would. That I wouldn't think that are going to look at me and say, oh, but they might insert a microchip in you. And I said, no, they won't. They've already got your phone on your pocket and you're agreeing with that. But I think it's very strange. And it must be something that you see daily. Someone may march on you and say, because this is the law, and you say this is not the law. Like sometimes people take stuff out of their heads. Do you think that people should talk anything and it's a matter of liberty? Or do you think they can, but people should be held accountable if they spread something?
That's really complicated. I think that
It's thing, right?
who are smarter than me are working really hard to figure that out right now with, you know, I don't believe in censorship, but that belief comes from my being steeped in, you know, our American tradition of the First Amendment and our right to liberty and free and fair information. But I don't know that we have a right to false information, and I don't know who the arbiter of that false information is, because that's a slippery slope when we start to, you know, let some particular body decide what's true and what isn't true. I don't really have the answer to that. I don't believe in censorship, but you know, I think people have to make their own informed decisions. But I think that, you know, the key to that really lies in a high quality education system that teaches critical thinking, that teaches what reliable sources are. You know, for example, if you get a gunshot wound, the doctor's not Googling things on the internet to find out how to treat you. They're relying on their training through a certified system of a medical board, and they took a medical test, and, you know, so.
Yeah, no, I think I kind of always throw this question, and when I finish season one, I think I can gather all the people that I've interviewed, so you guys can punch me all day, because this is a question without an answer. Like I was talking to my last guest, and he's a researcher in communication and in databases, and he said we don't know what to do.
Mhm.
Like he said, I'm one of the few people that are getting a salary from a private university to do research on this, and he said, and we don't know what to do, because he said it exactly what you've said. What's the limit? Who says who will say this is it and this is it? Where do I draw the line? Uh, for me, it seems it's what you said, right? Maybe the truth for a person is not the truth for me. Maybe if I say you have to work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, there is a person that is going to hear this and it's going to be an awesome thing. Another person will will have a burnout in like 3 weeks. And I think we're going to see, right? What do you expect in a general sense after the COVID pandemic for in your job and with your family, and also like joining up in that question for young people that are watching your interview and may want to follow law and do a career in law, do as my cousin has done, like go from Brazil to the US. How did you how do you adapt to all this stuff? And I believe that this capacity to adapt is what you're gonna maybe sell as a incentive.
Well, if you want to do law, I would say definitely go for it. I've never been bored. It's a nonviolent power, like like a superpower, but you don't have to use any swords or any fires. And I don't have to scratch anybody or do anything like that, but I have real power to affect change from within. I have power to protect people. I have power to get things done. Um, as far as post COVID, I don't know when post COVID is going to be. I don't know that we'll ever be quite back to normal. Um, like once vacuum cleaners were invented, people used vacuum cleaners forever. And, we don't wash our clothes by hand anymore. Everybody who has a washing machine uses a washing machine. So more than a post-COVID thing, I think that we're all adjusting to an idea of a new normal.
It makes a lot of sense for me because uh, that's true. Like sometimes now I'm getting what you're saying. A lot of people said that to me. I think I'm getting now. It's like it doesn't matter. Maybe tomorrow COVID would be something of the past. We have vaccines, we have everything. We've killed the virus. We've never done that. It doesn't have a trace on the earth. It's going to be on our memories. That's true.
Yes. Yeah, I think, it's nice not, I haven't had a cold or a flu in 2 years from masking and washing my hands so much. So that's nice. That's a good benefit. I haven't had sick kids or anything, like all of the other things. Um, I like my makeup though, and I don't like always being covered up with a mask. So I like Zoom meetings because I like to wear lipstick and things like that.
Yeah, no, I saw after COVID, like I saw like this boom in my personality where I'm going to go to like the grocery store and I'm putting like the most beautiful clothes and perfume and doing my hair just to get out and come back. Uh, Zoom meeting.
Yeah, it's easy to miss people's smiles. I mean, that's a human, I think we have a human natural response to seeing people smile, and we all miss that. So, I think it's important for people to get vaccinated. I think it's important for people to believe in trained medical science. Um, I think that's really at this point our only path forward is for more people to believe in science. Um, and so, that's where the access to valid information comes in.
I totally agree. Uh, I want to thank you. If I keep going on, I will be asking you question and question and question. But it was awesome to talk to you.
Thank you. Likewise.
I'm I'm a I'm in a position that I'm a Brazilian, so I love Canadians. It's insane. I have one friend from Canada, and uh, I met him playing online, and he came to Brazil. He was like for 25 days here. Uh, if you have the smallest connection to Canada and you're in Brazil, you're in for a very good treatment. Uh, we like to say that uh, Canadians are Americans with Brazilian hearts.
Yeah, my mom is one of 15 children. So they're very Catholic, my mom's side of the family. So I have like 50 first cousins that are Canadian, and we're the only ones that live in the US. So some live in Newfoundland, Labrador, most of them live in New Brunswick and Montreal and stuff like that. But my kids are very proud of being 1/4 Canadian, as they say.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. Like my grandparents were from Portugal. My stepfather is French. I think when we gather all this stuff and uh, we see the good parts of it, like you could say, oh my, I have a lot of family they are in another country. Oh, this bums me out. But no, you say, oh, I have a lot of family in another country. Like if I want to go there, I will meet like 30 people from my family. That's awesome. And I think giving this positive look to life, it's and to your actions while you enjoy life, it's what makes special people and awesome professionals. So I'm really happy to have talked to you, and I know someone that is thinking about practicing law or following this as a career will be happy to see a conversation like this.
Yeah, I would say definitely go for it. I've always loved my jobs. I like it's really it's not boring. There are things that are boring, and this is not boring. It's challenging and interesting. And I would say if someone's thinking about starting law school, don't think too much about it. Just take the first step, and then later think about the second step, and then later that next step, and then later the bar exam. Like one step at a time. Don't think, oh, I want to be a lawyer, but oh my God, the bar exam. Don't think like that. Just, each thing as it comes along. So
This is it. Uh, thank you so much. And I want to ask you guys to stay tuned. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and I will see you in the next episode of Can You Believe That with another special guest. And I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy as you always do. See you.
thank you.
Bye bye.